This page showcases the cover of Nintendo Power Magazine, January 1999 edition, Volume 116. The cover features Castlevania, with a 10-page monster review. Other games highlighted include Battletanks, FIFA 99, Nightmare Creatures, and NBA Jam 99. There's also a mention of Game Boy Color, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX. The cover includes a character illustration and a backdrop featuring a castle. There's also a mention of official Turok 2 maps near the top. This page is the table of contents for Volume 116, January 1999 issue. The magazine features strategy guides for games like Castlevania, South Park, Battletanks, Turok 2, FIFA 99, and Nightmare Creatures. There are also sections covering Fox Sports, College Hoops 99, Charlie Blast's Territory, NBA Jam 99, NHL Breakaway, and The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX. Special features include previews of OT and Shadowgate 64, and a predictions article for 1999. Regular segments like Player's Pulse, Classified Information, Counselor's Corner, Player's Poll Contest, Arena, Now Playing, and Pack Watch are also listed. The final episode covers Pokemon Power. This page, titled Player's Pulse, includes readers' letters and artwork. One reader expresses excitement about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time action figures. Another comments on the magazine's reviews, finding them harsher compared to multi-platform publications. A reader attempts to explain the Justin Bailey code from Metroid, suggesting it refers to Samus in her Bailey or bathing suit. Another asks about playing tennis with a GameLink cable. There's a mention of Donkey Kong Country TV show and various Nintendo product placements in TV shows. One reader praises the magazine for including more advertisements. The page also features fan art of Gex, a chicken wearing a Link costume, and Pokemon. There is also a comment about the Super NES Power Charts and a challenge to play Super Mario World. The next page is titled Power Charts, and it bids farewell to the Super NES Power Charts while heralding the unprecedented takeover of all four charts by The Legend of Zelda. The Nintendo 64 Top 20 is led by The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, followed by GoldenEye 007 and Banjo-Kazooie. The Game Boy Top 10 is topped by The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, with Pokemon and James Bond 007 following behind. There's also a section called Super NES, which shows The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and a letter discussing the Y2K problem and its potential impact on Nintendo systems. The page includes a reader who won a grand prize to ride in a Learjet simulator thanks to the game Aerofighter's Assault from Video System. Additionally, there's a Right Away section inviting readers to share their hopes for Zelda's influence and future developments. The page concludes with phone directory information for Nintendo Power subscriptions, system setup and repair, talk to a game counselor, and the power line. This page is an advert for Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the Nintendo 64. The tagline is, "You are Luke, so look like Luke." The advert features screenshots from the game, showing X-Wings and TIE fighters in action. The text highlights the game's features, including 5 starfighters, 15 planets, proton torpedoes, cluster missiles, and laser cannons. It also mentions the N64 expansion pack for supercharged graphics, with the slogan, "Get N or Get Out." The next page previews the Nintendo 64 game Castlevania, highlighting the return of the classic series in 3D. The game features 2 characters, Reinhardt Schneider and Carrie Fernandez, tasked with battling the Prince of Darkness. The page details weapons like the knife, axe, cross, and holy water, and lists items such as moon and sun cards, chicken and beef, jewels and saves, bags of gold, and purifying crystals. The article mentions the game has lots of action, maneuvers, and gruesome enemies, and that it will be released at the end of January. This page from Nintendo Power covers the Forest of Silence level in the Nintendo 64 Castlevania game, with a map detailing the route and locations of key items and bosses. Tips are provided on how to defeat enemies, including the giant skeleton and werewolves, and where to find treasures. Mentioned weapons and strategies include using the cross, holy water, and other primary weapons. The page gives directions on navigating the level and operating gate switches to progress. The next page continues the Castlevania coverage, this time focusing on the Castle, Wall, and Towers section of the Nintendo 64 game. It offers a map and strategies for navigating the outer walls, dealing with hazards like dragonheads and Medusa, and defeating the multi-headed serpent at the top of the tower. The guide highlights key item locations, such as the White Jewel and Moon card, and provides tips for surviving encounters with enemies like skeletons. This page provides a walkthrough for the courtyard and villa area in Castlevania for the Nintendo 64. It includes a map with item locations, strategies for defeating enemies like hellhounds and vampires, and tips for finding hidden items. Key areas highlighted include Dradek's Shack, the storage room, an encounter with a demon merchant Renan, and prices for his wares such as crystals and roast chicken. Also mentioned is the mirror room, and how to defeat a vampire villager. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, highlighting key features like real-time body impact physics where you can blow off limbs and heads, multiplayer deathmatch modes, and 30 terrifyingly realistic enemies built with soft-skin technology. It also mentions the game's large environments, sniper mode, and the arsenal of over 24 devastating weapons like the Warblade and Cerebral Bore. The ad includes the Acclaim logo and a quote from Next Generation praising the game. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game South Park. It starts with a brief summary of the game's plot, which involves a cosmic cataclysm threatening the town. The page then describes various weapons available in the game, such as snowballs, yellow snow, dodgeballs, toilet plunger shooters, sponge dart guns, Terrence dolls, Warpo rays, shape change rays, super sniper chickens, and Moo 2000s. It offers commentary about the game's mature content and multiplayer mayhem, also showcasing screenshots from the game and an image of the South Park characters. The Operation Turkey Butt section talks about the level involving crazed turkeys. Finally, it provides some tips on how to defeat the Mecha Turkey boss. This page covers the Nintendo 64 game South Park. It gives tips and strategies for different levels and enemies. There is information on defeating clones, dealing with the blob and mothership levels, plus tips on handling the killer cows. The page also includes advice on defeating robot enemies controlled by Mr. Hat, recommending the use of Philip dolls and gas attacks. The page highlights the importance of specific weapons like the Super Sniper Chicken and Super Dodge Balls for dealing with the robots. The next page has tips for the South Park game, focusing on the toy store level. It humorously describes the enemies such as vomiting dolls, maniacal RC cars, and a sassy Jack-in-the-Box. The page also provides strategies for navigating the level, like using sponge darts, gas attacks, and taking advantage of the environment. It also provides a secret location and a strategy for defeating a boss called Ultra Mega Mega Mass. The right side of the page is an advertisement for WCW/NWO Revenge Wrestling game. This page is an advert for the 64 game Fighting Force 64. The ad features a strongman lifting a car tire, the game logo, and some screenshots from the game. Quotes from Ben Smasher Jackson, such as, "Always carry a spare, after all you might miss the first time," are featured on the page. The next page is an advert for the O.D.T game, stating that it is an action game in search of RPG elements. The story revolves around Captain Lamont and his crew, sailing to retrieve a pearl that heals a widespread epidemic. The game features 4 playable characters with unique strengths and weaknesses, and is a combination of action and RPG elements, with an emphasis on spellcasting. Characters Ike Hawkins and Sola Kaminar are highlighted, and their specific skills are mentioned. This page provides an overview of the ODT game, highlighting its gameplay, characters, and behind-the-scenes development. Firepower X4 details the game's weapon system, where players manage 4 types of ammo and can upgrade weapons. Solekar's ability to charge his staff with electricity is showcased. Spellcheck discusses the game's unique aesthetic, blending Victorian elements with futuristic technology, and emphasizes the importance of magic. Players can access spells with a button, similar to The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. The page also introduces Max Havoc and Julia Chase, detailing their roles in the game's story and their unique skills. Mutations explains the game's real-time battles and the variety of enemies players will encounter, like kitchen clerks or the Ike Ahawis, and the ways they can attack. Are You Experienced focuses on the game's experience point system, where players can allocate points to upgrade various attributes. Finally, Behind the Scenes of ODT reveals the motion capture techniques used to create realistic character animations. It mentions that the Nintendo 64 version will have optimized sound and a hidden character. The next page is an advertisement for the game South Park. It mentions that South Park is under attack, and it's up to the player to save them from probing aliens, big evil clones, demented turkeys, and Terrence and Phillip. The game is described as bigger than Cartman's Big Fat. There are screenshots of the game on Nintendo 64 and PC CD-ROM, with taglines like, "Hello there, children," and "Howdy ho your way through mega multiplayer action." This page features battle tanks for the Nintendo 64. It describes the game's plot set in a war-torn future, and it also highlights the one-player and multiplayer modes. The game includes multiple multiplayer arenas. The page showcases the game's controls, including easy, arcade, gunner, and driver options, and the ability to switch between tanks. It also details various power-ups available like health, ammo, shields, radar, swarmers, guided missiles, lasers, nukes, grenades, mines, cloaking devices, and gun buddies. This page focuses on the gangs and campaign of battle tanks for Nintendo 64. It describes the various gangs in the game, their strengths, weaknesses, tank colors, and favorite weapons, including the Urban Decay with swarmer missiles, Aftershocks with grenades and mines, Nuclear Knights with nukes, and Skull Riders with guided missiles. Other gangs include Griffin's Army, Charlie Company, Dark Angels, Mech Maniacs, and Psycho Brigade. The page details the first 2 chapters of the campaign mode. Ground Zero, destroy 5 tanks, set in Queens, NY, and The Tunnel, cross the tunnel, from Queens to Manhattan. It includes map legends for power-ups like swarmers, grenades, mines, shields, guided missiles, nukes, and extra tanks, along with the locations of enemy units. The multiplayer Mayhem section describes modes like Annihilation, Battle Lords, Deathmatch, and Family Mode. Finally, team alignment options are described. The next page covers mission strategies and maps for battle tanks on the Nintendo 64. It details Times Square, destroy 15 tanks, where the player must eliminate 15 enemy tanks in Times Square. Then it describes Stranglehold Bridge, cross the bridge, where you navigate across George Washington Bridge, battling enemy bunkers, and eventually using guided missiles against a Goliath tank. The page also mentions a bonus round, where players control a Goliath tank and destroy waves of enemy tanks. A chart shows the ranks you can achieve for each wave destroyed. The campaign, the Queen Lord section, introduces the concept of rescuing Queen Lords and details the first chapter, The Heartland, Rescue 1 Queen Lord. This page provides mission strategies for battle tanks on Nintendo 64. It covers 2 missions, Lakeshore Drive, Rescue 1 Queen Lord, where players rescue a Queen Lord and acquire a Goliath tank, and State Street, Rescue 2 Queen Lords, where the Psycho Brigade and Skull Riders team up against you, and fortified bunkers are present around State Street. Tips include utilizing power-ups, understanding enemy and fortified bunkers, using mines, and switching to the Goliath tank when the base is under attack. There is also a walkthrough for each mission, with maps indicating key locations like power-ups, turrets, and roadblocks. Finally, it mentions a bonus round after the State Street mission, with tips on grabbing swarmers and extra health. The page ends noting the game features a password system. The next page is a strategy guide for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil on Nintendo 64. The page features maps and instructions for finding distress beacons and rescuing children within the game's Port of Shadia level. The guide provides specific steps and locations for activating beacons, rescuing children, and acquiring necessary keys. Accompanying screenshots highlight key items and locations, with notes on gameplay mechanics like using arrows to expose hidden areas. It also details the number of keys needed for the current level and the subsequent level, and where to find parts of the nuke weapon. This page continues the strategy guide for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, focusing on the River of Souls level. It includes maps, images, and instructions for tasks like rescuing children, finding nuke pieces, defending the energy totem, riding a Triceratops, and activating underwater switches. There is also a mention of the Talisman Stones, Leap of Faith, and Breath of Life. The next page provides additional strategic information for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, specifically guiding players through map areas 4, 5, 6, and 7. It details how to destroy the first Soul Gate, battle the Sister of Despair, and provides image and instruction on how to defeat the Sister of Despair. This page continues the strategy guide for Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, now covering maps 8, 9, 10, and 11. It gives instructions on finding the Sacred Feather, destroying the Second Soul Gate, battling Sister of Despair number 3, finding 2 graveyard keys, and defending the Energy Totem. Screenshots illustrate key locations and enemies within the game. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Buck Bumble, featuring artwork of the titular character, Buck Bumble, set against a yellow and black swirling background. The advert includes critical acclaim quotes such as, "Entertainment that no N64 fan should miss," and "Critics agree, Buck is the bee," from various publications, with taglines highlighting originality and cool action. The Ubisoft Entertainment logo is also displayed. This page dives into the world of FIFA 99 for the Nintendo 64. It provides tips and tricks on how to humble the CPU, covering techniques like one-time passes, misdirection, changing pace, and utilizing low balls. It also suggests strategies for maintaining possession, protecting the box, and even how to get away with a foul play. The page features screenshots of the game in action and promotes the game's improvements in gameplay, graphics, and strategy. It also touches upon the realism of the stadiums modeled after famous European arenas. Quote, "The next page is dedicated to FIFA 99 on the Nintendo 64, offering power tips and strategies. It covers in-game tactics like utilizing strategy settings, substitutions, pressure techniques, through passes, wingback runs, and offside traps." The page then highlights the ability to create a custom team with unique players, trade characters, and design soccer uniforms. It also briefly mentions the Euroball and Dream Teams modes. Finally, it provides a table with stats for various national teams in the game. This page features a list of soccer teams from the FIFA 99 game, broken down by country with a strength rating. The countries include Belgium, Brazil, England, France, Germany, Holland, Italy, Portugal, Scotland, Spain, Sweden, and the USA. There's also a section called The Rest of Europe, listing more teams from various European nations. Additionally, the page features an advert for the racing game, CARS Survival of the Fastest, with screenshots and a brief description of the game. This page features a collection of cheat codes and tips for various Nintendo 64 games, including F-Zero X, Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside, Body Harvest, Madden NFL 99, NHL 99, and Gex 64, Enter the Gecko. For F-Zero X, it details how to shrink vehicles and change their colors. NBA Courtside has codes for disco floors and big heads, and Child's Play. Body Harvest provides a code to increase weapon power and activates Surreal Mode. Madden NFL 99 offers a cheat to unlock Tiburon Stadium. NHL 99 features codes to inflate players' heads, pump them up, and increase game speed, and Gex 64 password to have 99 lives and all the remotes. This page is dedicated to cheat codes and tips for more Nintendo 64 games. Space Station Silicon Valley has a code to access a bonus game, a mix of Asteroids and Defender. Rampage World Tour has instructions on how to warp to hidden stages when entering certain city names. Turok Dinosaur Hunter includes a password for fly mode. NFL Blitz offers hidden player unlocks by entering specific names and PIN numbers, such as Carl TN 1111, Daniel 0604, Fortaden 1111, and others. Flying Dragon has a code to enable a very hard difficulty setting. Virtual Chess 64 reveals a trick to see what the computer is thinking. Ken Griffey Jr. Major League Baseball includes a scouting report feature, and it also provides an address for readers to send in their own tips. The next page humorously predicts trends for 1999, adopting a fortune-telling approach, with Mario and Wario offering their perspectives. Mario anticipates the memory expansion pack being used more, starring in Super Mario RPG 2, and appearing in Mario Party alongside Peach, Luigi, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong. He also states that Zelda: Ocarina of Time is the game of the century. Wario envisions pocket-sized generators for Y2K and ramen noodles, also mentioning Mario Party. He jokes about Ganondorf on golf, and gives sarcastic comments, such as cleaning the inside of Banjo's backpack. This page is a guide to nightmare creatures on the Nintendo 64, detailing characters Ignatius and Nadia with their combos and special attacks. It provides a list of moves and button combinations for each character, along with descriptions of the power-ups available in the game, such as proximity mines, fire bombs, freeze spells, and healing. The page emphasizes the game's mature themes and the need to defeat monsters. The next page offers level maps and strategies for Nightmare Creatures on the Nintendo 64, featuring maps for Chelsea, Thames, Tunnel, and Spitalfield, guiding players through the levels with tips on finding power-ups, switches, and hidden areas. The guide gives strategic advice on how to deal with specific enemies, such as the sewer snake. This page presents level maps and strategies for Nightmare Creatures on the Nintendo 64. It features maps for India Docks, Hampstead Heath, Queenhithe Docks, and Highgate Cemetery. It gives players tips and strategies for navigating levels, including where to find weapon upgrades, hearts, and how to deal with enemies like giant spiders. The next page features level maps and gameplay strategies for the City and Smithfield stages in Nightmare Creatures on the Nintendo 64, giving players tips on opening the bank, obtaining weapon upgrades, surviving the winter, explosive entrances, and tackling the gameplay. There's an advert for NHL Breakaway 99 featuring Steve Yzerman, along with several in-game screenshots. The advert also highlights the game's features, including authentic team playstyles, advanced coaching strategies, and total team management. This page is a preview of Shadowgate 64. The preview introduces Lakmir, the sorcerer, and Del, the halfling prisoner who becomes the unlikely hero, who has to solve puzzles and escape dangers. The page highlights the game's story, involving the Warlock Lord and magical staffs, and the gameplay experience, offering exploration in a 3D environment. This page provides an overview of Shadowgate 64, highlighting its puzzles, magic, and the story's elements. It mentions the commands players use, such as take, give, wear, and use, which are central to solving the game's challenges. There is also a spotlight on the puzzles where players solve riddles and overcome obstacles. And it's mentioned that Shadowgate Castle was once a school of magic with dangerous traps. The game is described as a graphic text adventure, with a storyline involving the Warlock Lord, and mentions other games from the same era, such as Deja Vu and Uninvited. The next page is an advert for Magical Tetris Challenge, featuring Mickey Mouse and friends. It describes the game as addictive and simple, showcasing two modes of play, Magical Tetris and Classic Up/Down Tetris, and mentions that players can play as Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, or Donald. The objective is to battle Pete, Weasel, and the Big Bad Wolf, while completing Tetris lines. This page is a preview of Fox Sports College Hoops 99 for the Nintendo 64. It highlights features like Exhibition Mode, Full Season, and Rivalries, showing off gameplay screenshots and team selection options, and mentions teams such as Louisville, Michigan, Duke, and North Carolina. It lists some Game of the Year matchups, including California vs. Stanford, UConn vs. UMass, Duke vs. North Carolina, and others. The page notes that this N64 game is fully outfitted with player stats, camera angles, and game options. The next page shows a detailed look at Fox Sports College Hoops 99 for the Nintendo 64. It gives tips for success in the conference tournament and March Madness, and highlights the game's options and team rosters. There are lists of various college conferences and teams, including the ACC with Duke, Florida State, and Georgia Tech, the Big Ten with Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, and the Big East with Boston College, Connecticut, and Georgetown. The page also shows in-game screenshots and talks about features like player stats and the MVP award. This page is all about Charlie Blast's Territory for the Nintendo 64. It details Charlie's mission, which is to blast through puzzles by pushing bombs, lighting fuses, and proving his demolition skills. The page outlines 7 different types of bombs and strategies for using them. Bombs like the detonator, auto detonator, antenna bomb, number 1 bomb, number 2 bomb, number 3 bomb, and TNT are described with their unique blast patterns. Strategies like using camera angles, flight plans, and recognizing new elements are also covered. It mentions the game as a puzzle game and a party game for 13 players. The next page continues the puzzle-solving strategy for Charlie Blast's Territory. It walks the player through several levels of the game, including desert islands, alpine islands, and tropical islands, with detailed instructions on how to solve each puzzle using bombs, detonators, moving platforms, spikes, blocks, and other new elements like oil slicks, conveyor belts, and bumpers. The page gives move-by-move instructions with diagrams for levels. Block out, it's about time, chain reaction, switchbacks, oil slick, and bumpers. This page includes gameplay tips and strategies for the multiplayer mode of Charlie Blast's Territory, and also a preview of Virtual Pool 64. The Charlie Blast's Territory section gives advice on clearing your base, friendly fire tactics, and running away. It features characters from the game, and descriptions of new elements like breakaway squares, slippery ice, and trampolines. The Virtual Pool 64 preview highlights its realistic physics and multiple game types. The next page presents NBA Jam 99 for the N64, highlighting its shift towards realism while still keeping an arcade-style jam mode. It offers offensive and defensive gameplay tips like utilizing your go-to guys for passing, calling for picks, connecting with alley-oops, and dribbling for moves. Defensive strategies cover man-to-man defense, forcing turnovers, setting a defensive stance, and timing blocks. The page also details game modes like Season, Exhibition, and Skills, and hints at the inclusion of real NBA rules, teams, and playbooks. This page breaks down NBA Jam 99 for the Nintendo 64, diving into the game's features and strategies. It covers various aspects of the game, including the GM's office, which includes trade players, release a player, create a player, and the Dako Dunkenstein option. The page then provides team overviews for both the NBA Eastern and Western Conferences, listing starting lineups, key stats such as shooting, rebounding, and overall ratings, along with favorite plays for each team. The All-Star Squadrons mode is highlighted, which includes 2 All-Star lineups, and a fantasy draft option if you're defeated in the playoffs. This page showcases NHL Breakaway 99 for the Nintendo 64, promoting it as a wicked power play experience. It details the exhibition mode for quick matches, season mode with stat tracking and team management, and playoffs with intense competition. The page also touches on instant replays, league leaders, and the ability to recreate or customize playoff trees. Screenshots of the gameplay and menus are shown throughout. The next page delves deeper into NHL Breakaway 99, highlighting the shootout and practice modes. The shootout mode places you in tense one-on-one situations, while the practice mode allows you to adjust player numbers for strategic training. NHL teams, including the Boston Bruins, Calgary Flames, Chicago Blackhawks, and expansion Nashville Predators. International teams are also available for play. The page also covers roster moves, showcasing options to view and edit rosters, trade players, and create custom players. This page, titled Counselor's Corner, is a collection of tips and tricks for 2 N64 games: The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and WCWC NWO Revenge. For Ocarina of Time, the page explains how to get a piece of heart from the vase in Goron City. You need the Goron's bracelet to pick up bomb flowers and throw them into the vase. It also provides a tip on winning the horse race in Lon Lon Ranch, advising players to only use carrots on straight stretches to avoid swinging wide on corners. For WCW/NWO Revenge, the page covers how to control a manager by plugging in a controller to the 3rd or 4th port. It also reveals hidden wrestlers like Roddy Piper, Kurt Hennig, Meng, Canyon, and Mortis, explaining how to unlock them. Finally, it explains how to steal an opponent's special move by using your special move and pressing the A and B buttons together. The next page is another Counselor's Corner type of section, this time focusing on tips and tricks for other games. Banjo-Kazooie for the N64, Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars for the SNES, F-Zero X for the N64, Cruisin' World for the N64, and Body Harvest for the N64. For Banjo-Kazooie, it explains the easiest way to defeat a Limbo, use Kazooie's Wonderwing move, and how to help the sick polar bear in Freezy Peak find the sled. It also details how to get the Jiggy in the statue in Bubble Gloop Swamp, use Rat-a-Tat Rap to get into the vase, and then use the shock jump pad. Super Mario RPG, it shows where to find the surprise box in the sunken ship by bouncing off a clone's head. It also explains how to locate the masher weapon in Booster Tower by using a teeter-totter, holding down and right on the controller. There is also a queue and a section with fast facts for Zero X, Cruisin' World, and Body Harvest. The next page dives into Dream Analysis for The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX. It provides a step-by-step guide to help Link wake the windfish, who is trapped in a dream. The instructions cover objectives for gaining access to the initial dungeon and subsequent dungeon information. It goes on to give walkthroughs for 8 dungeons: the Tail Cave, the Bottle Grotto, the Key Cavern, the Angler's Cave, the Catfish's Maw, the North Face Shrine, the Eagle's Tower, and Turtle Rock. It gives simple instructions to complete the dungeons, such as get the shield from Taran, go to the library, find you sword at Taranbo Shores. The page also highlights the DX version's new dungeon, enemies, items, and Game Boy printer compatibility. It also shows the photographer that has been added to the game to thumb through your album and print your snapshots. This page is about the color dungeon in The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX. It provides a guide to navigating the dungeon, noting that color is a key element and that non-Game Boy Color users won't be able to pass certain points. It explains how to push the gravestones in the cemetery to access the dungeon. The page provides instructions for various rooms, like solving the skeleton's color puzzle, making domes blue, and navigating colored tiles. It details how to find a bomb, use slam dunking to defeat enemies, obtain a small key, and find the Nightmare Key. The page highlights the red and blue tunics that increase attack power and decreases the damage you take, respectively. The next page highlights strategies for overcoming nightmares in The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX. It offers tips on defeating bosses like Moldorm, Genie, Slime Eyes, Anglerfish, Slime Eel, Facade, Evil Eagle, and Hothead, along with a reference to the Shadow Nightmares. The other side of the page is an advertisement for Milo's Astro Lanes. On the Nintendo 64, it has quotes from Nintendo Power and Nintendo64.com. The advert shows some gameplay and characters, and promotes multiplayer features. This page showcases Carrot Crazy for Game Boy Color, featuring Bugs Bunny and Lola. The guide covers gameplay mechanics like using Bugs and Lola's unique abilities, finding hidden areas by collecting letters to spell extra, and tips for the Treasure Island levels involving Yosemite Sam. There are strategies for the Galleon sections, including avoiding dynamite, bird droppings, and cannon fire. This page provides tips and walkthroughs for Looney Tunes games on the Game Boy Color. Looney Town features Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny navigating rooftops and using items like Lola's umbrella and Super Carrots. The space station involves Marvin the Martian and Bugs Bunny avoiding asteroids and space mines while collecting fuel canisters. Taz's Zoo focuses on Taz's whirlwind antics, while Elmer's Forest has Bugs Bunny evading Elmer Fudd. Finally, The Troop Escapes presents challenges such as using a bicycle to outrun the troop. The next page gives an overview of Montezuma's Return for the Game Boy Color, focusing on tips and tricks for navigating the temple. It explains how to use the in-game map and avoid enemies like temple bats. The guide details how to collect keys and use them to open locked gates, and it covers the layout of Area 1, providing step-by-step instructions for obtaining keys and items while avoiding traps. Different key types such as circle, triangle, square, and half-circle keys are detailed. This page continues the guide for Montezuma's Return on Game Boy Color, moving through Areas 2, the statue, Area 3, the torch, Area 4, Area 5, Area 6, and corridors. It provides visual aids and textual descriptions for navigating traps, collecting keys, and defeating enemies. The guide also offers gameplay strategies for each area, including advice on timing jumps, using shields, and obtaining the torch. The ultimate goal is to complete the mission and claim the passwords. The next page is a contest advertisement titled, Go to the NCAA Final Four 1999 in Tampa Bay. The grand prize includes a trip to the Final Four, meeting a Fox Sports News announcer, dinner at the official All-Star Cafe in Orlando, a case of Ocean Spray juice, and Fox Sports College Hoops 99 for N64. Second prize is an official jersey signed by 1998 NCAA Final Four MVP Jeff Shepard, along with Fox Sports College Hoops 99. 53rd prize winners will receive new Nintendo Power t-shirts. The ad provides contest rules and entry details, emphasizing that votes count. This page is dedicated to Gex. Enter the Gecko for Game Boy Color. It describes the game's storyline, where Gex must rescue television broadcasts from his nemesis, Rez. Gex uses gecko stunts like wall climbing, tail bouncing, and tail swiping, and collects remotes to travel through TV lands. The page details pickups like carrots, soda cans, skulls, and tombstones, found in different TV worlds. It also lists various baddies, including zombies, scorpions, robots, ninjas, aliens, and dinosaurs. There are guides for several levels: Tune TV, Out of Tune, Fine Tuning, Scream TV, Smell Razor, and Frankenstein Field, with tips and screenshots for each. The page also highlights the function of small TV sets like Gex Head TV, Gex Paw TV, Checkered TV, Flame TV, and Snowflake TV. The next page continues the guide to Gex. Enter the gecko for the Game Boy Color, giving tips for the Kung Fu Theater, Mao Tse-tung, Samurai Night Fever, Prehistory, and Pangria, 90,210 levels. It also provides advice for the Circuit Central and www.com.com levels. The page gives some gameplay tips, like how to use the yin-yang symbols in Samurai Night Fever to soar through the air, and how to survive falling lava in Pangria, 90,210. There's also a brief mention of bonus rounds and a level called Thursday the 12th, where the player needs to collect 50 skulls. Finally, the guide teases future levels such as Honey, I Shrunk the Gecko, This Old Cave, and the Rocket Channel. This page, titled Arena, features challenges and reader submissions. It includes challenges for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Rush 2, and Golden Nugget. Readers could submit photos of their achievements for a chance to win prizes and have their names featured. The page also highlights reader-submitted content in categories like Best Panorama, Most Creative, and Most Bizarre. The page also features an NP scoreboard section showing high scores for various games, specifically Star Fox 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and Nagano Winter Olympics 98. Finally, it asks, Where am I? With a screenshot from Ocarina of Time, challenging readers to identify the location. This page features reviews for 3 games on the Nintendo 64. First is Battle Tanks, a tank combat game with 1 to 4 players, 5 modes, and 4 cities to battle in. The reviewer praises the graphics, especially the smoke and explosions, and the controls. Next is FIFA 99, a soccer game with 1 to 4 player support and includes virtually every European club. The reviewer highlights the improved graphics, lifelike animation, and intuitive player control. They also compliment the announcing. Lastly is South Park, Deeply Impacted, based on the popular TV show. It supports 1 to 4 players and features a 3D engine that captures the cartoon's look. The reviewer notes the precise controls and praises the voice acting, but criticizes the fog. The next page features reviews for CARS and NHL Breakaway 99. SCARS is a racing game from Ubisoft with unusual animal cars, fun tracks, and a Mario Kart-like item system. It supports 1 to 4 players. Reviewers note the somewhat sloppy steering but praise the graphics and unique car designs, calling it a fun racing game. NHL Breakaway 99 from Acclaim offers a hockey simulation with 1 to 4 player support and NHL licenses. The graphics are noted as being up to par, with some interesting animations. Reviewers found the controls solid and gameplay realistic, but the rumble pank use was disappointing. The page also features an advertisement for Oddworld Adventures on the Game Boy, featuring Abe and Beavis and Butthead, with the slogan, "You can't take these guys anywhere, unless you've got a Game Boy." This page contains mini-reviews for 4 different games on the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color. The games reviewed are Nightmare Creatures, a horror game with gore and intense fighting but suffers from awkward camera angles, Charlie Blast's Territory, a puzzle game with colorful graphics but simple sound, NBA Jam 99, a basketball game that reviewers found to be a disappointment due to the removal of the Toon 2 mode and unresponsive controls, and Zelda Link's Awakening DX for Game Boy Color, a great game with excellent sound and design which is regarded as a must-play title. This page features mini-reviews of several games. Power Quest, where players build and battle robot models, scoring 7.4 overall. Smurf's Nightmare, a platformer with excellent graphics, earning a 7.3. Turok 2, an action platformer, receiving a 7.0. Rugrats, the movie, a simple black and white platformer for youngsters, with a 6.9. Carrot Crazy, a 2D platformer with terrific characters, getting a 6.8. Montezuma's Return, a puzzle game, also rated 6.8. 2 Hubble, an action puzzle game, scoring 6.6. Shanghai Pocket, a tile-matching puzzle game, earning 6.5. Gecko. Enter the Gecko, a 2D platformer, rated 6.4. Also featured are Mortal Kombat 4, Frogger, Super Breakout, A Bug's Life, and Elmo's ABCs. Each review includes rating scores for graphics, play control, game design, satisfaction, and sound. The page also lists evaluators and their favorite game categories, as well as the weighting of each category in the overall ratings. It includes age ratings from the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, ESRB. The next page, titled Pack Watch, dives into upcoming games. Electronic Arts is working on Beetle Adventure Racing for the N64, which is described as a mix of racing and platforming, where players steer their car to gather power-ups, dodge obstacles, and find secret routes. Infogrames is creating a Looney Tunes legacy for N64 and Game Boy Color. Looney Tunes Space Race for the N64 features Marvin the Martian trying to destroy the Earth because of poor TV reception. Players will race as Looney Tunes characters to collect pieces of the modulator. Taz Express for Game Boy Color involves Taz delivering packages. The page also mentions a third N64 title, 2 Wubble, and other Game Boy Color games like Carrot Crazy and Looney Tunes Collector's Game. This page previews several upcoming games. Snowboard Kids 2 for the N64 from Atlas is featured, with the reviewer noting its Mario Kart-like feel and fun gameplay. The player will slalom and pull of stunts on a variety of course types. Koei is working on Winback, a shooter that is being planned for a March release. The auto-aiming system should allow the user to shoot instantly at enemies from cover. Lastly, Ubisoft is releasing All-Star Tennis 99 for the N64, a tennis game featuring realistic simulation and some of today's biggest tennis stars. The page also features a review of the puzzle game Hexite for the Game Boy Color, noting its unique gameplay compared to other puzzle games. This page features previews of upcoming games, starting with Pack Peaks, discussing Tonic Trouble, a game praised for its action, strategy, humor, and graphics. The review mentions Penny Racers, a Mario Kart-style game with car customization. Also featured is Vrally for the N64, boasting updated graphics and tracks. The page also highlights Monaco Grand Prix Racing and Legend of the Sea King for Game Boy, a fishing RPG. Lastly, there is the release forecast for both N64 and Game Boy Color, listing anticipated titles and their expected release windows. The next page showcases 2 separate aspects: Nintendo Powerback issues and an advert for the official guide and the game Penny Racers. The left side features a list of Nintendo Powerback issues from December 98 back to October 97, detailing the featured games and articles in each issue. Key games mentioned include Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Bomberman Hero, WWF Warzone, Banjo-Kazooie, Zero X, Quake, Diddy Kong Racing, and more. The right side of the page is an advertisement for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Official Player's Guide, and the game Penny Racers for the N64. The Zelda part encourages players to get the official guide to conquer evil and impress their friends, while the Penny Racers side promotes kart racing at its best, with features like 13 cool body styles, a track editor, 100 upgrades, and 4-player split screen. The next page features a variety of games and upcoming products. Mario Party is highlighted as Nintendo's latest get-together, while WCW Nitro invites players to step into the wrestling ring with Diamond Dallas Page and Goldberg. Rayman 2 is also featured, showcasing Rayman's wacky adventures. Additionally, Hexite provides a geometrical puzzle challenge. The right side of the page advertises Zelda Collectibles, a 6 action figure set of Link and Ganon, along with a 3 action figure set featuring Link, Ganon, and Princess Zelda, plus items like keychains, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and baseball caps.